So as you continue to develop your talents and to make your mark upon the world, remember that nothing worth doing is ever easy. You'll have bad moments. I used to give speeches on success. I don't give them anymore. That's what they like the best. You got to love what you're doing. And if you don't, just do something else. Find what you, especially at your age, you have to love what you're doing. You'll never be successful unless you get lucky, which could happen. But if you don't love what you're doing, find something else. If you don't love NASA, if you don't love space, do something else. And for the people that do, get over there and be with the space cadets, right? But you got to love it. If you don't love it, you're just not gonna, it's not gonna happen. You have to follow your passion. You have to do what you want to do. You have to listen to people. You have to go around and say, what's a good industry? Because I know people that love things, but they're behind the eight ball because they're going into something that's not a good industry. So if you can find something else, because there are industries that are so great, and there are places that are heading in the wrong direction, and things. You want to try and be in that upslope if you can find your passion there. If you can't, still stick what you have to stick with. And speak your mind. Ask questions. You're at such an important part of your life because you are making the decision for the rest of your life right now. This is your big time. You're most wanted. Everybody wants you. You're young, you're smart, you're brilliant. And this is the time that's going to really guide the rest of your life. So it's a very important time for you. So just love it. Love it. But try and go into something where you can have a wonderful life, where it just is worthwhile. Because there are some things that it's tough. Keep standing up always for your values. Keep working with your classmates and your friends. Keep loving your country. And one of the most important things, never, ever quit. Never quit. You know, I went to a great school. I went to the Wharton School of Finance. And in that school, I met a lot of people heading industry today and over the past, very smart people. But I've watched some of the people grow. I've watched some of the most incredible, brilliant students. And they didn't make it like other people made it because they didn't have that drive. They didn't have that never give up ability. I don't know if it's an ability or if you have it. Just, you can't quit. And I've seen people quitting. And if they would have held out longer, they would have been successful. I've seen it so much. I've seen some of the most brilliant people in the world that never made it because they were quitters. They were just quitters. They would quit. They just couldn't take it. They couldn't whatever. One of the things about loving what you do is that it's not work, and therefore you don't quit automatically. It's a lot easier not to quit. But you can never give up. Now, you have to also have flexibility, though. You can't necessarily say, I'm never giving up, and you got to be able to weave and bob. You don't have to go through a concrete wall when you can go over it or around it or under it or something. You have to have flexibility. You have to always be able to change course a little bit, maybe always with that same goal, but don't quit. There aren't a lot of people that have quit. If you were quitters, you probably wouldn't be here today with me, okay? You probably wouldn't be here. But never, ever quit. So I want to thank you all for coming. This is an honor to be with you. You are the future. You're the future of our country. You're the future of the world in many respects. We have a great country. We have tremendous potential. We have potential, frankly, that has been untapped. And we're finding out what that potential is and finding it out in ways and means and numbers that nobody ever thought existed. I want to just say, God bless you and your families, and God bless our great country, and have a tremendous life. You are off to the best start. Thank you very much. Thank you. In order to be successful, and you people are well on the road to success, you have to find out what makes you excited. What makes you want to get up each morning and go to work? You have to find it. If you love what you do and dedicate yourself to your work, then you will gain momentum. And look, you have to. You need the word momentum. You will gain that momentum. And each success will create another success. The word momentum. I'll tell you a story that's very interesting for me. When I was young, there was a man named William Levitt, Levittown. You have some here, you have some in different states. Anybody ever hear of Levittown? And he was a very successful man, became unbelievable. He was a home builder, became an unbelievable success, and got more and more successful. And he'd build homes, and at night he'd go to these major sites with teams of people, and he'd scour the sites for nails and sawdust and small pieces of wood, and they'd clean the sites so when the workers came in the next morning, the sites would be spotless and clean. And he did it properly. And he did this for 20 years, and then he was offered a lot of money for his company. And he sold his company for a tremendous amount of money. At the time especially, this is a long time ago, sold his company for a tremendous amount of money. And he went out and bought a big yacht. And he had a very interesting life. I won't go any more than that because you're Boy Scouts, so I'm not going to tell you what he did. Should I tell you? Should I tell you? Oh, you're Boy Scouts, but you know life. You know life. So, look at you. Who would think this is the Boy Scouts, right? So he had a very, very interesting life. And the company that bought his company was a big conglomerate. And they didn't know anything about building homes, and they didn't know anything about picking up the nails and the sawdust and selling it and the scraps of wood. This was a big conglomerate based in New York City. And after about a 10-year period, they were losing a lot with it. It didn't mean anything to them, and they couldn't sell it. So they called William Levitt up, and they said, "Would you like to buy back your company?" And he said, "Yes, I would." He so badly wanted. He got bored with this life of yachts and sailing and all of the things he did in the south of France and other places. You won't get bored, right? You know, truthfully, your workers, you'll get bored too, believe me. Of course, having a few good years like that isn't so bad. But what happened is he bought back his company, and he bought back a lot of empty land. And he worked hard on getting it zoning, and he worked hard on starting to develop. And in the end, he failed, and he failed badly. Lost all of his money. He went personally bankrupt. And he was now much older. And I saw him at a cocktail party. And it was very sad because the hottest people in New York were at this party. It was the party of Steve Ross. Steve Ross, who was one of the great people. He came up and discovered, really founded Time Warner. And he was a great guy. He had a lot of successful people at the party. And I was doing well, so I got invited to the party. I was very young. And I go in, but I'm in the real estate business. And I see 100 people, some of whom I recognize, and they're big in the entertainment business. And I see, sitting in the corner, was a little old man who was all by himself. Nobody was talking to him. I immediately recognized that that man was the once great William Levitt of Levittown. And I immediately went over. I wanted to talk to him more than the Hollywood show business communications people. So I went over and talked to him. And I said, "Mr. Levitt, I'm Donald Trump." He said, "I know." I said, "Mr. Levitt, how are you doing?" He goes, not well at all." And I knew that, but he said, "Not well at all." And he explained what was happening and how bad it's been and how hard it's been. And I said, "What exactly happened? Why did this happen to you? You're one of the greats ever in our industry. Why did this happen to you?" And he said, "Donald, I lost my momentum. I lost my momentum." A word you never hear when you're talking about success, when some of these guys that never made 10 cents, they're on television giving you things about how you're going to be successful. And the only thing they ever did was a book and a tape. But I'll tell you, It was very sad, and I never forgot that moment, and I thought about it. And it's exactly true. He lost his momentum, meaning he took this period of time off, long, years, and then when he got back, he didn't have that same momentum. In life, I always tell this to people, you have to know whether or not you continue to have the momentum.